Hi everyone, it's Becky here. So today is a really great sunny day and I went for a walk in the forest park. So this park is about 10 minutes drive from home and my parents and I really like taking a walk in here when the weather is really nice and also getting some fresh underground water. So now I'm sitting down on a bench and I decided to sketch this underground water rock and the forest behind. I'm gonna do a really quick and simple sketch. So I'm gonna draw a rectangular frame so it's easier to fit all of the details inside. And also it's a good way to control how big I can draw. Because sometimes I draw way too big and I spend too much time on sketching. So after drawing the frame, I'm just quickly drawing very loosely the tree trunks, and now I'm drawing this rock where we get underground water by pressing the button. Just drawing more outlines of the rocks around it. I really like the shapes of these rocks. Very organic outlines. There was a dog passing by and drinking some water from there. And now I'm just drawing very loosely using scribbly lines, drawing the bushes behind the rock. And the tree branches on the other side. So when drawing a scenery like this with a million details, it's very important to calm down and know the essence, and therefore we can use very simplistic lines to capture what's really there, the spirit. Instead of trying to be a copy machine, we're humans, and it's really important to capture the energy and not the exterior likeness. So as you can see, if you can hold a pen and write, you can draw. And I think it's really important to have the spirit of a child when we're drawing, because art should be something active, energetic, instead of like a copy machine. So as artists, we're actually using the real world as a reference to express our inner self. So even though I'm drawing and sketching from real life, I'm not really copying. I'm trying to express my love about life and nature. So that's the finished line work. I think I have enough details and contrast of line work. Now I'm gonna paint with watercolors. So I'm wetting the whole area first with clear water and adding on a very watery layer of yellow ochre mixed with lemon yellow to suggest the sunshine. Everything is covered by the sunshine, and that's the underpainting part. And now wet on wet, some verdant green for the leaves and bushes. Now I'm adding on some brown for the tree trunks, just a little bit, because these tree trunks are lit up by the sunshine and they're not as dark. And adding more darker tone of green in between, because the areas in between looks even darker away from the sunshine. And also underneath the bushes is darker away from the sunshine. So far I see it's really important to not overpaint the standing tree trunks because those are really bright, and it's totally okay to make the areas in between darker to give a really dynamic feel, to make the tree trunk standing out from the areas behind. For the rocks, I use a mix of ultramarine blue and green and keep it really watery. The rocks color is not as dark as the dense areas of trees. And for the next layer of the tree trunks, I'm adding a really warm brown, burnt sienna, here and there, and be careful leaving those areas in the middle still pretty bright yellow. Adding some shade color for the rocks, but not too much. And finally, just adding some finishing retouches here and there. Shadows on the ground. And that's it. Here's the look of the finished sketch and my art journal page. So back home, we're having tea and some Taiwanese style mung bean mooncakes. And here's the look of the inside. And I'm gonna have some English breakfast tea, nice and warm. So I started with the outline of this mooncake, half on the left hand side, the outline, using very loose organic lines to show the wavy, crispy texture on the surface. And the seal on there, meaning mung bean cake. And the minced meat inside. And the outline of the other half of the mooncake. This line is pretty important to define the 3D shape. And now just adding these layers of crispy skin as I observe, and the minced meat. Very loose and relaxing. The crispy cracks on the surface. And now drawing this square dish underneath, being covered by the mooncake a little bit. The rim, and the florals on the edges. Okay, so now I'm gonna draw my teacup tea mug. So as I mentioned before in my previous videos, it's okay to have part of your drawing objects out of the page. It looks very dramatic and interesting. And it's actually a lot of fun to draw these cartoon bunnies on the outside of the mug. They're really cute. And finally adding another layer of ink line around the bottoms of the mug and the dish to suggest the dark shade. So now I'm ready to paint with watercolors again. I'm wetting the cake area and the mug area first with clear water. First layer is a really watery yellow ochre for everything. And wet on wet, a mix of orange and yellow ochre. Brown and yellow ochre for the tea, the first layer. And the wet on wet, an even darker brown, just so there's more depths. Painting this dish with turquoise color. It's not exactly the same as the real thing because I really want to make this dish more vibrant. I think one of the purposes of painting is to make the real world colors lift up more on paper. Just to bring out the tedious things into something more interesting and meaningful. So just adding another layer of mix of orange and brown and darker brown for the minced meat inside. And then painting the florals with magenta. And adding these colorful spots on this image on the mug. And painting the shadow part inside and outside the mug. So just adding another layer around the edge of the tea so it looks stronger. So when we're painting watercolors, sometimes when the layer dries, the color tends to fade away a little bit. So it's a good idea to wait for the layer to dry and to add another layer to make it stronger. Just having fun painting the image there, adding some more shade around the inside and outside of the mug. Another layer for the mooncakes, an even darker brown around the exterior. Now just painting the shadows around the edges of these mooncakes. An even darker brown for the rim. And painting the shadows for the mug and the dish, using a mix of ultramarine blue, purple, and green. So now I'm grabbing some red and using very thin brush strokes to paint the red seal on the surface of the cake, which is really special in Asian bakeries. Alright, I think I'm done for the day. Here's the finished sketch of my tea and mooncake and the whole art journal spread. So here is the finished art journal spread. So I just decided to keep it really simple. Write down the dates that I did these 2 pages, and that's it. Keep it really loose there around the corner. So thank you so much for watching my video. If you like my video, please click like and leave me a comment below. Subscribe to my channel for weekly updates, and I will see you very soon next time. Have a great Sunday afternoon and have a great week ahead.